Dr. Camcorder.
I move that the question be now put.
I'm going to take Gareth Hughes.
Mr Chairman, mihi nui kia koutou kia ora. It's wonderful to take a call, one of the last calls tonight, on the freedom camping bill, this government bill coming for the House. Now, Mr Chair, I've got to ask, is this the most urgent thing this chamber could be addressing? A few months before the election, a month before the Rugby World Cup kicks off, just before we're about to go into urgency. Now, Mr Chair, I acknowledge there is a poo problem when you go out across the countryside, and there is a legitimate freedom camping issue of waste being disposed of unwisely in our natural areas. But the fact is, Mr Chair, if we were thinking about the actual serious poo problem facing this country, we'd be looking at the massive, and I mean massive, dairy effluent pollution every day going into our creeks, into our rivers, into our streams, which means Kiwi kids can't learn to swim in a Kiwi river because we're not adopting smart farming solutions. Mr Chair, I just had to point that out before I got on to addressing part 3 of this bill, that actually there are more serious issues this House should be discussing before we go into urgency, like our kids and our grandkids being able to swim in our rivers. So, Mr Chair, I spent a few years freedom camping. I was a contractor for Greenpeace for a couple of years. I'd work for 3 months and then I'd freedom camp for a few months, getting to see our fantastic country. Now, like most tourists and Kiwis, I did it responsibly, took care of the wastes, always didn't leave anything apart from footprints and take nothing but photographs. And the Green Party do acknowledge there is a serious issue. Our clean green brand is vital to our economy, it's vital to our sense of who we are as a people, and we don't want tourists. Well, we don't even want to turn up to a beautiful scenic spot and see waste there. This is a serious problem. And looking at Section 3, Mr Chair, I wonder if the magnitude of this issue is appropriately dealt with the fines. We've got a pretty small fine, Mr Chair, only $200 is the financial penalty. But the main point I want to touch on is Part 3, Section 18, subsection C, which makes preparations to freedom camp in a local authority in breach of any prohibition restriction. Now, Mr Chair, I struggle. We've heard from other speakers about how we're going to identify who the appropriate person is delegated to deal with a serious issue, if it's a badge or a certificate or a sash or whatever. But the big question is, how is this person going to be able to identify if a person is making preparations to freedom camp? What is the definition of make preparation to freedom camp? Is it getting out the thermos and having a cup of tea? Is it setting up a table with the thermos on it, having a cup of tea? Is it setting up the folding chair with the thermos and a cup of tea, about to enjoy it? How on earth are we going to define this? And are we going to simply put off these tourists who are doing an important job to our economy, coming to our country, enjoying our beautiful natural scenery? How are we going to define what to make preparation to freedom camp in a local authority in breach of the section is? I invite the Minister to take a call on this, and there's a whole bunch of other questions which I've heard tonight, which would be good to get a call. There's a whole range of questions we've heard in this debate, and the fact is this bill has just been rammed through under too much haste. I'm really looking forward to the Rugby World Cup kicking off, Mr Chair. As a Kiwi, I'm really excited about it. But unfortunately, the World Cup has brought out a bit of a bad streak in our national psyche. We've heard about Auckland sweeping the streets of homeless. We've seen Adidas price gouging Kiwis wanting to wear the black jersey. And Mr Chair, here we see the authorities and police who already have appropriate powers to deal with this serious issue being circumvented by this law. We don't need to do it. They've already got the powers. What the Green Party supports is a positive approach that looks at education, providing more facilities, more legal campgrounds. What we'd love to see is more money going to DOC to keep providing those great campgrounds. Kia ora, Mr Chair.